ready to have a conversation. And our conversation tonight is about a topic that a lot of people do not want to talk about, do not want to discuss. Um, they want to, I don't know, put blinders on or act like it's all good and there's nothing happening and I think we need to talk about it because we are here. We are in the world. We are living this. So we need to talk about it. So the discussion tonight is about race. And it says, how do we cope? And we're talking about racism. And we're talking about it in our society, our community, in our churches, in our culture, in our neighborhoods. We're talking about something that people don't want to talk about. They want to ignore it. They really want to say that it's all good. We're all right. We got it. Just pray about it. And I'm not saying we shouldn't pray because we need to pray, but we also need to talk about it. It's a conversation that needs to be had. It's a conversation that's long overdue. And I guess for me, what gets me the most is if they talked about it during the civil rights movement and they still went to church and they still prayed and still believed in God, why is it that we can't do the same thing now? Because none of those people stopped doing what they were doing where God was concerned, and they still were doing civil rights. And I often wonder why in our generation now we feel that it's an either or. You either have to do one or the other. And I beg to differ because why did God allow there to be a Malcolm X? Why did God allow there to be a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Why did God allow there to be a John Lewis, Abernathy, all of those that were along with him? They were churchgoers. They went to church. The meetings that they had were in the churches. So I'm confused about how we get to where we are now, to where we make it that it is you either serve God or you're going to do this. Why can't I do both? I go to work and serve God. I go to school and serve God. Why is it when it comes down to this that it's an either or situation, but you can't do them both? It's almost like when women started going to work after having children. Well, you can only have children, but you can't work, or you can work and you can't have children. Why is it an either or? I can work and still have a child.
Mm-hmm.
I can work and still be married. But we take the civil rights thing and we make it an either or issue. Either you gonna serve God or you're gonna be over here doing the civil rights thing. And I just disagree with that. And maybe I'm wrong, but I look at it this way. You got to show me Bible that says that I have to only serve God, but never do anything about how I'm being treated in the world and not talk about those issues. That's just my take. And we're gonna have my friend. And by the way, tonight we not prophetess, we not pastor, we are just Demetrius and Sonia, and we having a conversation because a lot of times we get caught up also in people's titles. Well, they are this and they are that, so they should not be talking about those kind of subjects. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Because my Bible tells me that Jesus went into the temple and turned over the tables because of what they were doing in the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we to me, we seem to just make it where you have to choose what you're going to do. And in choosing what you're going to do, that means you're going to choose just to serve God and you don't worry about any other social issues that are going on. Just pray for them. Yeah, but the Bible says, you know, you got to do some work. You know, faith without works is dead. So I can pray all day long, and have faith all day long, but if I'm not doing any work, how is that working out? I'm just saying.
Mhm.
That's just my logic on that. How is that working out? That's like me saying, God, help me, help me, help me. I want to pass all my classes for my bachelor's degree, but I don't do no homework. How does that work?
Don't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. I must do work. I'm asking, having faith and believing, but I must work.
Mhm.
I must work in order for God to do what he's going to do in helping me pass. But that's all I got. I'm going to leave it over to my brother. I think I need to change my background. It's making me fade in and out.
Okay. Well, I hope y'all can hear me well. Hope y'all can hear me well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a recurring, interesting topic. A barbershop topic. Sitting in the family front room topic. May not want to discuss topic because of the emotions that it bring out. And I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. I've mentioned many times on Facebook and in posts, talking about the bitterness that is in people because of this and the history of this. A lot of us are bitter. Whether we want to admit it, whether we want to confront it, but many of us will say, "Hey, I have reason to be bitter. Look at what is going on." But as believers, we have to confront it and deal with it. But we first have to admit that we are. A lot of people don't want to watch the news. Another people can't watch another video. Me personally, I watch them because I be wanting to see what happened. I be wanting to see, was there any justification to the way that it ended. Sometimes you see, sometimes you don't see. But then when there's a cover up at all costs to protect the officers, that becomes a problem. Are some suspects or asking for it? Sometimes, but just like the other day, I think it was on the 14th. I forgot where the video at. When they shoot a person running, it adds to the narrative. It adds to the bitterness. And that's what a lot of people, especially believers, because that's what we're talking to. We're talking to believers. And if you're a non-believer, but you want to deal with it too, yeah, we're talking to you too. But especially believers, you can admit that I'm feeling some type of way. You can admit that I'm feeling salty. You can admit that, yeah, this video has angered me. Yeah, this video has made me feel some way toward police. But now as a believer, what do I do with those feelings? How do I process those feelings? Because I don't supposed to let bitterness be in my heart, but it's there. I have never addressed it as bitterness. I just know I had a strong dislike of police. And it's because of the way, and let me say it because when you hear prejudice, we all prejudice in some kind of ways, but the racial prejudice, when they come to Black communities, they already feeling a type of way anyway, because they don't like us, but we got to come and protect and serve in this community. We got to come uphold the law in the community. And sometimes that's why you don't see the real to go do it, because, it's on both sides. So how do we deal with this? How do we confront this? How do we process it? How do we process the mental instability? How do we process I might need the police one day, but I don't like the police one day. My culture tells me not to like the police. My culture tells me not to deal with them. Hey, they know our culture don't like them. So their response time is not as it would be in another neighborhood. But see, all those different things, we live. You know, if you live in a certain neighborhood, the response time is boom. I've had some incidents over here the other night. A dude was attacking tried to attack a girl outside. It took them 30 minutes to get here. You know, and I'm the one called. Her mother called. I'm telling y'all, so y'all mean to tell me y'all ain't have nobody over here in the area, nowhere, but you know, this they at night they patrol more better neighborhoods, you know, but when they want to get their quota up, they patrol our neighborhood. So it's that kind of stuff. Yes, mama. That that causes the bitterness. And what we want to do as believers, we want to like try to address it, see if we can work out a way. But it makes it difficult when it keeps happening. And it continues to happen. Oh, there's another incident. Now at the same time, that could be the whole plan of the enemy. Oh yeah, they ain't gonna never get over this. They're gonna always be bitter. They're gonna always be bitter. They're gonna always be bitter. But as believers, how can we work around that? How can we overcome that? How can we grow and deal with that so that we can process it and not let it get us? Because I can dislike it, but not let it get me bitter. So how do I get there? Because right now I'm bitter. Right now I'm feeling some type of way. So how do I process another shooting without looking at it through a bitter lens? All that stuff is what we want to talk about tonight. Because God would like us to have the victory. Satan would like us to continue to be bogged down in the bitterness, because a lot of us are bitter. A lot of us are bitter, and I've asked the poll on my page in the recent years, and no one answered it first. And the question I asked, how has the things that has gone on in America made you a bitter Christian, Black Christian? And I guess somebody, you know, everybody didn't want to answer it first, but after the first person, you know, voted yes, then a couple more people was ready to vote yes on the poll. Before a long time it was no, but then somebody was brave enough to say yeah. After probably, you know, after you have to think about it, oh yeah, I do feel some type of way. And guess what? One of them was a probation officer. Wow. Interestingly enough, one of them was a probation officer, because you know, she see firsthand behind the scenes of both sides. You know, being a probation officer, she know the ins and outs of the dirt of some officers and you know of you know, probationers and inmates too. You know what I'm saying? So she see both sides of it. Right. But seeing the corruption when we supposed to be the one doing the justice, that's what made them come forth and go ahead and say yes. And so as believers and non-believers, if you're just a person who, man, I just feel some type of way when I see the way that they treat white suspects and black suspects, but so I feel some type of way. And as a believer, I know I shouldn't feel that way. But how do I process it when boom, there go another video? Boom, I'm trying to get over, but boom, there go another video. Boom, there go another video. And how do I do that? So that's what we want to talk about tonight, and hopefully we can get some get on the road, because I don't think it's gonna be an overnight thing. But how do I get on the road to try to process, to try and overcome this, to begin to deal with this, and interestingly enough, be transformed by the renewing of our mind, because as we are studying in a study led by Prophet Sonia, that we talking about the battlefield of the mind, and this is big. This is big. This is a big war, and hopefully tonight we can get everyone on the road. Some people gonna move faster than others, but as long as you're on the road, moving toward managing the situations better, casting down the vain thoughts and imaginations better, to the point where we won't be bitter. Not say you won't be angry, because God said be angry and sin not. So anger is okay as long as you don't sin. So, but I'm not saying never get angry, not have righteous indignation, no, but don't let it cause you to sin. And then get to the point also where you have a root of bitterness in you. And that's what we want to try and get to tonight. So that's it for me.
All right. So my brother has said a lot. And I know my brother will have some scriptures for us that we can talk about, but I really want to have this conversation. You know, I just feel that nobody wants to talk about it in church. Nobody really talks about it in the community. It's kind of one-sided. I don't have any um Caucasian friends, should I say, that I could even ask to come and be a part of this conversation because they don't think like that. They are, we just gonna pray about it. They should just do what the law says. And it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. It really doesn't work like that because we have people that do everything the police tell them and they still end up beat or they end up dead. So now what? You don't have an answer for me for that. You try to find some kind of way where they didn't do something, that's why that happened. No, no, no.
Yeah.
No, it's because of the person that they ran into. And we're not bashing the police and we're not saying defund the police and we're not saying all police officers are bad because they are not.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bible does talk about evil communications and how it corrupts things. Or for those that are not saved, and I'm paraphrasing that scripture for y'all try to go out there. She don't even know the word. Nope, I'm paraphrasing it. Come on, you should know that scripture without somebody having to quote it word for word. But for those that are not saved, one bad apple, it'll spoil the bunch. One rotten apple will spoil the bunch. However it goes, it only takes one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a cancer. It spreads. And until you cut out the cancer and get rid of it all, it's going to keep spreading or it's going to come back. Those are the analogies that I'm using with this. Because people that are good people, bad things happen to them. And I've always wondered, I ain't gonna even lie, Lord, why does it have to be that way? They doing everything they know do, and now they dead. Come on, God. What about this one over here selling all kind of stuff, running and doing everything but the right thing, and they still walking around? But I have never gotten an answer to that, so I just let it alone. But I've always pondered that. But again, us talking about racism is things that we need to talk about. We need to talk about it. So we're going to talk about it in a society first. In society, I just don't know what to say because there has always been a double standard for as long as I can remember. Your group can do this. Your group can't do that. Because if your group does that, then we're going to have to just come down hard on you. You all are out of control. But the same group of people, another group of people doing this exact same thing, and it's free to go. It's free to go. I saw a video the other day, and I wasn't even looking for it, but I happened to see a video the other day, and I take it the young lady is a news person or something in her neighborhood or in her community or area, and she was in Walmart, and she was actually waiting to return an item, but she began to film because the person that was at the counter already that they were working with had allegedly done some shoplifting in Walmart and then tried to bring the item back, and they caught her. And so what they were doing is they went back, and the managers were, and the undercover detective was looking at the cameras and stuff, and they saw everything going on. And the young lady in line said, you know what, I better film this so that they will have a record of her in case she started acting crazy, in case something she started acting up and started really acting all crazy. And the thing about it was she was not of our culture. She was not of our persuasion or our culture. And so the young lady that filming, she was. And sure enough, as you're watching her film, the lady at the counter, she started cussing and throwing stuff and just I was waiting because I'm like, is she getting ready to hit this lady? Is she ready to hit the Walmart person? And so, of course, they take her out and walking her out. And if anybody knows Walmart, up by one of the exit doors is their little room. And when they take you in a little room, they're getting ready to arrest you for shoplifting. And so the woman is cussing and having a fit, and she asked them why they taking her in this room, and she's like, she said, ma'am, they can ready to take you in there because they can arrest you for shoplifting. The lady turned around, saw her recording, hit her so hard that her phone fell out her phone flew out of her hand, skidded across the floor, and the next thing you know, the lady got her phone back. But she talking about how she done knocked the lady out because the lady attacked her. And I say all that to say is when the police came, the police tried to make it like it was dual assault that happened. The lady admitted to assaulting her, but she could get charges filed on her for assaulting the lady. She said, how is that when I was defending myself? She hit me first. And she was basically saying, so I'm supposed to just let her hit me? And that's the only way it's going to be an assault on her is if I just let her hit me and I don't defend myself and hit her back. And it was a male police officer. He went out of his way to pacify the woman that hit her. Literally went out of his way. Placating to her and making sure she all right. I'm like, so let me get this straight. If in Virginia Beach, if somebody hit you of I'm just gonna use the incident because that's what it was, of another culture or race, if they hit you and you defend yourself and hit them back, they can file assault charges against you. I said, how does that work? What you're telling me is I'm supposed to let them just beat on me and don't fight back. Because if I fight back, you're going to tell me that they can file charges on me. I said, this is foolish.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. Like it's ugly out here. And there's so many situations. Now I'm quite sure there's a lot of situations that don't get videoed or we can talk about the other side of the narrative, but that's what we always do. Right now we're talking about this side of the narrative. And it's more of this side of the narrative than it is of that other side of the narrative. Maybe they getting video more, but we have been as man, because you say African Americans, people say we need to stop calling ourselves that. Black is not a race. I don't even know as a Lord, can I say colored people? As black people, I'm just gonna say black people because somebody gonna have something to say about each one. I've heard different discussions, but as black people, we have been screaming for a long time about the injustices, but now with the advent that everybody got a camera now. You know what I'm saying? A lot more stuff is getting caught now, even to the point where, police have definitely been in the wrong. But with a camera, somebody recording something, prove that they lied on their police report. Because they got cameras now, but they don't always turn their cameras on or say it malfunctioned or something right there. So there's no real evidence to support. But then we know that they falsify reports and. But then there are some videos, yes, because we got to put that out there. Yes, there's a video that surely if the person wouldn't have resisted, then they probably would have got shot. But then my thing, I always ask, I say, well, you have a right to resist what you think is an unlawful arrest. When does that come into question? When does that come into question? Because you have it right now. Some cases, yeah, they need to be arrested. But then there's a lot of cases, you know, like, man, well, what you arresting me for? Well, we detaining you for investigating. No, what did you detaining me for? I don't want to be in here because and you know, and it's like an incident we had here in Tallahassee, Florida. Officer recent was fired the week before last. Well, I'm gonna just say last month. Make sure the time right. But you know, they already got the quote unquote suspect. Already he's heading to the jailhouse. He's in the jailhouse, but you know, the officer's mouthing also the suspect, you know, he's mouthing off because some people do get in that uniform and get a superiority complex. And that there triggers something in a lot of black men because they feel like, bro, if you ain't have that uniform on and you was talking to me in that kind of tone, we can go ahead and throw down. But then some people put on the uniform and yeah, you got to respect the law. You know what I'm saying? Even the Bible said, you know, they bear not the sword in vain. But then some people do put on that uniform, and he was like, boy, it was in the sense of like, boy, you're gonna listen to me, you're gonna do what I say. And you know, he pushed the you know, he was already handcuffed. He pushed him, and his fellow officer had to push him off, and he got fired because, you know what I'm saying, he didn't control himself, and it was on some sense of, boy, you're gonna listen to me. And that there triggers something in black people, because especially when it's officers in general, but then when it's a white officer, you know, whether it's meant to be that way or not, that's how it's received. And you know, that's why here, you know, there's been a push to like, man, look, you know, you back in the days, there used to be a beat cop. So when you come into our neighborhoods, you need to come into our neighborhoods understanding us, even the biases that we have, because you supposed to come in trying to de-escalate, but a lot of times you come in and y'all actually escalate the situation. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a bias on both sides actually.
Right.
And but as being the civil officer, the police, you know, you're supposed to be coming in trying to de-escalate, but a lot of times, and look, I'm quite sure a lot of it has to do with fear. I was researching because I've in some of the videos and talks I've watched, and maybe some articles I've read. Well, there is talk of like that we have an anger gene. You know what I'm saying? That black people have an anger gene. And it's the reason why that's why they always trying to tell us, okay, calm down, because you know, when we agitated, you know, our voices get loud, you know what I'm saying? We get boisterous a little bit. So that they look at that as aggressive. You know what I'm saying? But it's coming from a point of bias, because I don't know if you're gonna you finna handle this correctly, because you already ain't listening. You coming, we trying to tell you what's going on, but you already came with your assumptions. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot that goes into it. And since you not listening, we trying to tell you what's going on, but you ain't listening because you already got your assumption and what you think. But people are telling you what's going on, and you like, I can hear all y'all at once, but okay, but everybody's saying the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But it's just that. There used to be beat cops that walk the neighborhoods. We trying to get beat cops here, but there's even programs that have cops come live in the neighborhood. But the neighborhoods that quote unquote some of the officers patrol, they already patrolling it with a bias. They already patrolling it with a bias. Cause like say this and I'm gonna hush and move on. I was coming up the street one day. I turned through the parking lot to go through, you know, because the light was red. Cars were lined up. I was in a hurry, so I turned through the parking lot. When the cop pulled me, the first thing he said, "Where's the drugs?" I'm like, "What you mean, where's the drugs?" He said, "You coming off Basin Street too fast, and this is a drug area. So where is the drugs?" I'm like, "I ain't got no drugs." "Well, I'm gonna have the dogs come sniff the car anyway." you know what I'm saying? So it's that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And from my own personal experience, I can tell you not just what I've seen on videos, but the bias now. I'm gonna say, interestingly enough, I came in contact with some sheriffs that was a little bit more decent. The police, yeah. I came in contact with some sheriffs that had a little more sense. But the police, it seemed like they, you know, maybe they have had a rough day. Maybe they just had a rough suspect that you know charged them up, and so now they count on a grudge. But that's what you can't do doing that job. So if that's how you are doing that job, then maybe you do need to find another profession. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're going to have that bias, and a lot of them do, and that's what we talk about, we always get it flipped around. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, but they need to look. No, listen, we talking about the biases, because police will come and say, well, we try to ask for the help from the community, and nobody want to talk. Okay, what about y'all blue wall? Let's talk about the blue wall then, because y'all don't talk neither, and y'all know the bad apples. You know the scripture. You know, a little leaven leaven the whole lump. Okay, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know the bad apples too, but do y'all report? No, because you don't talk. You don't tell on your fellow brothers. You know, we're a brotherhood, and you cover your brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? It's only a few brave ones who willing to be outcast, ostracized, and even fired, are willing to speak out. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? Once they speak out, that follows them. Even to other police stations. Police, don't ride with them. Don't trust them, because they got fired from the other police station because they reported on the brother. You know what I'm saying? So as much as they talk about the hood, you know, snitches get stitches, they got the same mentality with the police. You know what I'm saying? You'll see a police do wrong, and it's only few who are you know, not saying there's never been, but few who are willing to say go against the code. Because for us in the black community, it's going against the code. There's only a few who are willing to go against the code for the cops too. And for those that do, we commend you, because we're supposed to be standing up for right, and that's kind of where we at tonight. Because Micah chapter 6 said, you know, we're supposed to love and seek justice. So are we wrong for speaking out about this? Nah, because we seeking justice. All we saying is, okay, if they did wrong, bring them in. Let them have court. Y'all giving them court in the street. Some of them ask for it. But there's so many cases where they didn't. And I'm gonna say it's not even just black. It's documented cases, but what we're talking about right now is the black one. Can we spread it out? Yeah, we can. But right now we're talking about, you know, the black. And if that's a problem, I don't know. Invite us and let's talk, or say, well, how about y'all scheduling across the board? And we're just addressing the black, because like I say, a lot of people talk about, quote unquote, our biases toward police, but the bias that they have toward the black community. And listen, I ain't saying that they got they don't have a point, because a lot of us are biased because of what we've seen, because of what we experience with dealing with the police. But that should make the police say, hey, how can we come and change the narrative, their view about us? You know, how can we change the narrative, their view about us? That we should be working toward better, a better relationship with the communities, because you go to the well-off neighborhood and it's, hey, Mr. But when you come to this community, okay, we in the hood again, so you know how that goes. You don't like us. Nah, change the narrative. Change the narrative. You know, work toward better, you know, community policing relations. We have a council here that they started recently because of a few shootings from the police. You know what I'm saying? And then I can ramble on. Don't want to release videos, and you know what I'm saying. You don't want to, you know, all kind of stuff. So, but how can we trying to work to getting it better? But we got to lay out the problem first, and then toward the end, okay, we done addressed all this problem. How can we get around this? Because some of it is hard, as some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. But yeah. What I'm saying is we gonna eventually get to the workaround, but got to lay out the problem first that we all know. But yeah, because I know some people say, some more complaining black folks. Some more complaining black folks. No, it's just we trying to hear it from our side, but then the end game is to get a workaround. Because a lot of people don't even like to hear it from our side. They say, oh, they should have resisted, and it wouldn't have happened. Oh, I can show you a bunch of videos where death occurred, but it could have been avoided. And that's all we saying. Could it been avoided? And if it could, why wasn't it? We ain't saying we ain't saying not give them their day in court, but they didn't get a day in court. That's the point. They had court on the street. Could it been avoided though? Could it been avoided? That's all that we saying. And if it could have been avoided, why wasn't it? All right.
All right now, my brother has said a whole lot. I'm interested in so what happened, after he said he was gonna, have the dogs come and sniff your truck. And again, your bias to me toward my brother is because he came off that street and he black, he had to have drugs in the car. Okay, first, so what if it had been a white man coming off the street real fast? He got drugs in the car too.
Yeah, it was interesting. He said, "You're coming from a drug-infested neighborhood," and that was his first statement. Not where your license, not nothing. Where the drugs? What the drugs? You didn't even ask me for my license or nothing. Where you going or nothing? You know what I'm saying? You coming off the street too fast, trying to get out of the neighborhood. I'm like, technically, if I had drugs, I actually probably would have been a little more cautious. I know some people don't, but probably would have been a little more cautious and seatbelt on. But I got seatbelt off and everything, but I don't smoke, drink, or nothing, cigarettes or nothing. So I'm really looking at him crazy. You still gonna have the dogs come anyway? Yeah, I'm still gonna have the dogs come anyway. Golly, okay, all right. I guess I gotta sit here then and wait till the dogs come. And after the dogs come, they let me go. But it was just a whole ordeal of like, this is the kind of stuff that people be talking about. Yeah, you can talk about the other stuff, but we ain't talking about the other stuff. We're talking about that kind of stuff.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right there. That right there. That right there. You couldn't take my word that there were no drugs because I'm a black man coming off this street. You don't know if somebody was chasing me. You don't know if somebody was shooting at me just because I was driving down the street. You don't know what was going on. You don't know if I had a child in the car or someone in the car that was sick and I'm trying to get them to an emergency hospital. You don't know. Your first reaction is, where the drugs at? Really? I'm telling you no. And then you gonna do the dogs anyway. And then when they don't find anything, you didn't say, I'm sure you didn't apologize. I'm sure you didn't do anything to rectify the situation and make it right. You just let the person go.
Yeah. And technically, and I didn't know it was against the law to cut through a parking lot to avoid a red light. I really didn't. But that was $196.
You can't do that. You can't do that up here.
Listen, I technically didn't know that. Like, I missed that, but I didn't know you couldn't go through a parking lot. Like, I went through a Taco Bell to avoid the light. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know you can do that, but he said, yeah. And I figured you had to be doing something because you wouldn't wait at the light. So why are you trying to get off the street so fast? I'm like, I ain't got no drugs. Like, that really was true. And at the time, what was funny about it, at the time, it was 2017. I was selling DVDs. Yeah, I was the bootleg man. And look, I told him, I said, I ain't got no drugs. I got some DVDs in the trunk. I'm finna go to the other city to sell. I don't care about no DVDs. I want some drugs. Listen, it was real funny because I say, man, you can search because I ain't got some DVDs in the back of the trunk that I'm finna go sell. So it was like, it was real interesting, but and it's I've had more incidents that I could talk about, but that's as becoming now a believer, we try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but they say we make it hard. Well, we say they make it hard too. And we try to we try to and then like you say, once you lock somebody up, you kill somebody, it's like the city offer an apology. What they gonna do?
It ain't gonna bring the dead person back. They dead.
Because like I say, could it been avoided if everybody would have came in gung ho? Oh, we the police. You finna just listen to us. That's right. But the way that you did it was wrong. We understand you the law. Stop in the name of the law. In the name of the law. In the name of the yeah. But as a civil servant, you supposed to come to de-escalate. Most of the time, y'all come and y'all escalate. And then go by assumptions, and then it's automatically sent, especially if you quote unquote outnumber, then why not wait to back up in some situations? You come there gung ho and ain't enough of y'all. It's a bunch of them and you outnumbered, so automatically out come the guns. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna shoot. And oh well, I'm sorry. Oh well, I'm sorry. And so, I thank Demetrius for sharing a real live experience. So you can't say, well, they just making stuff up. Okay, he was minding his business. Granted, he didn't know you couldn't cut across the parking lot to avoid a red light, but the fact that he told the man what he had in his car and his response was, I want some drugs. So it don't matter that I'm out here doing this other thing of pirating these movies or whatever they call it. I can do that all day long. All you want is, because I'm this person, I just want drugs. Yeah.
And I had to have drugs. That's what he was like. Yeah. I know you got the drugs because you came off the street too fast. I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to get to the city because I'm already kind of quote unquote late from the time I normally set out. No, well, I'm gonna have the dogs come around anyway. I'm telling you what I got in the trunk. I'm telling you what I got back there. But if you want to search, my thing is why I had to be drugs. Like, you know what I'm saying? Man. Yeah. I got another incident. But I'm gonna hold that one till we talk a little bit more.
So see, it's not just, if they just do the right thing. He pulled over, told the man, was honest with the police officer, and it still turned out like that. And so then what would have happened if it had been somebody else and they decided to go file a complaint against it? Then it goes back to, then they would have been on the lookout. Every time they see you, then they're going to pull you over just because out of retaliation. See, all of that goes into that, but nobody wants to talk about that. But on the side of your vehicle, you have, all of y'all have, to protect and to serve. What it should say, to protect and to serve, as long as you are not this or that. Because that's the way it feels like.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I'm going to try to make this one quick. Okay, we coming home. The police get behind us. We coming from Georgia. I'm in Florida. We coming from Georgia. So I guess they're in the community. So we coming home. Now, he get behind us. I'm a passenger this time. He get behind us. So we turn in our apartment complex. He hit the light. When we get in the apartment, why you try to run from me? I said, bro, we stay right there. I said, we stay right there. No, I say, bro, we stay right there. Get your IDs out. Boom. Oh, I thought you was trying to run from me. Okay, so now he run the name. Now I spell my name. My birth name is spelled Demitrus. I spell my name the natural way, Demetrius, Demetrius. He goes back. What is your name? Bro, you got my ID. You see my name. My name is Demetrius Whitehead. Nothing came up in my computer. I'm like, so you said something have to come up in your computer? So you mean that you think I got a false ID and I gave you a fake name? He goes back. He said, I'm going to go check it again. If I go check, and he's like this, if I go check it again and it come back, I'm taking you to jail. I'm like, bro, I'd have been to prison 2 times. Just because it ain't coming up in your computer, that ain't my fault. And first of all, why do I have to necessarily have a record? Well, if I go back and check it, So my wife is at the door because I'm riding with somebody else. My wife is at the door like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know, the dude out here acting stupid because he said my name ain't in the computer. First of all, why do my name have to be in the computer? But it should be in the computer because I'd have been to prison twice. I'd have been in jail in the county. But he's thinking I gave him a false name because my name didn't come up. Nothing came up in the computer. You know what I'm saying? So he come back belligerent, like, you didn't gave me a false, bro, you got my ID and all. What are you talking about? And see, that that's the kind of stuff that make people have a bias with the police. And this is personal experience. This is like real deal. I should have had my phone out to record this dude. And that's what we all need to start doing. As soon as they come, pull out your phones. Step back, but pull out your phones, because a lot of time they do lie. They do lie. They talk about, boy, they do lie. They do, and it's legal for them to lie. That's crazy. But if we tell a lie, it's obstruction. But anyways, see, that's kind of stuff that I'm talking about. They can come in and lie in the interrogation room and everything, but it's cool. But if you lie, it's obstruction. But anyway, he belligerent, and you know what I'm saying. I'm like, and I asked him, I said, do my name have to be in your system? I could be clean, but I'm telling you, I'd have been to prison. Well, why nothing came on? I said, well, try spelling it this way. And when he tried spelling it the way my birth certificate said, it came right on up. I'm like, but bro, you got my license number. All that should have came up. I gave you my social. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. So maybe he had something going on that day or whatever. But that's what we be talking about. You got my ID. Because something, it could have been a glitch in your computer. I'm telling you, I done been to prison twice, bro. I done been arrested in Leon County. I've been to prison once in Georgia, went to prison once in Florida. So something should come up. But you all here acting like I'm giving you a fake name, telling me you finna take me to jail, because I'm giving you, bro. What? This is personal, real life experience. You know what I'm saying? And do you get an apology? No. You know, it's just like, oh, I had to be in your system because I'm black and I stay on Basin Street. So I gotta be in your system. There, I could not have a record. I got to be in your system.
To be honest, he didn't believe you stayed there because he said you was running from him. So actually, he didn't even believe you stayed there, even though it's on your license. That's your address. He didn't even believe that you stayed there. And the thing about it is, it's not just white police officers. Black police officers do the same thing.
Look, I'm the passenger though. I ain't even driving right now. I'm the passenger. But the passenger turned out his license was suspended, so they got to get some on me too. I got to get a 2-for-1. But they wrote him a ticket. They didn't even try to take him to jail. They was mad because my name didn't come up. But you know, I'm on some. I ain't driving. Why you asking me something? First of all, like, I ain't driving. Well, we need to know who you is. I did. I'm like, but I'm not driving. You know what I'm saying? I stay right there.
You know who I am if I'm not driving.
It's like, but you know, they get belligerent real bad then because you don't want to identify who you is. I'm like, but I'm not driving, so why? Okay, man, hang on my ID. Well, nothing came up, bro. I don't understand how. You had my social, you got my driver license number. I don't know what you did, but when he put it in there as my birth, it came on up. And I'm like, well, I don't spell it like my birth. I never spelled my name like my birth name. I was surprised when I looked on my birth certificate and seen that that's how my mama spelled it, because all through school, we didn't spell it like that. All my years, I never spelled it like that, but on my birth certificate, it's Demitrus. Demetrius, not Demetrius.
Well, I don't spell my name the way it's on my birth certificate either.
Yeah, my wife don't spell her the way hers on her birth certificate.
It was my name on my birth certificate is not. Oh, I'm sorry. Turn the camera off. Sorry, y'all. My name on my birth certificate is not Sonja. It's Sony. But I've always spelled it with a J.
It's just how belligerent he got. Like, and he like really yelling in the window. I'm gonna take you to jail if I go back and take it again. I'm like, bro, I've been to prison twice. You know, now I'm kind of getting loud, and that making him get a little aggressive. Because, bro, you about threatening me to take me to jail. You know what I'm saying? Off something like this. When I tell you we stay right there, you thinking we whipped in from you.
If somebody wanted to run from you, they would have speeded up.
No, but you know what's crazy? Because we was driving my wife's car, because my license was suspended. I didn't know the driver license was that took me to Georgia. His license was suspended. He said he was just driving. I didn't know his license was suspended, but my license was suspended at the time, and we was driving my wife's truck. So if he would have ran the tag, it would have came to the address that we was at. That's what made me get kind of off and get kind of hot, because, bro, if you ran that tag, you know that tag is listed right here where we at. And then you got my ID.
Ran that tag, he didn't even believe it. He took it as the car was stolen. I bet you that's what it was. In his mind, he ain't care nothing about that tag. He just, like you said, wanted 2-for-1. Oh, I got 2. I'm gonna get 2 of them today. No, you not. And you can't get mad because you can't get me on something. You can't get mad. And the fact that you would even make the assumption that because I am black, I should be in your system is retarded to me.
Yeah, it was because that what had me
purposeful.
Yeah,
that I ought to be in your system because I'm black and I live over here. I need to be in your system. No, that's not so.
Nothing came up, so I had to be giving him a fake name.
Oh my God. Just crazy.
But
crazy. And I don't believe nothing did not come up. I will never believe that. I believe that's the lie that you told.
I don't know.
I believe that's the lie that you told.
He must have addition to computer or something, because I don't know. And it's still, it's that's why I went to Yale, bro. I've been to prison twice, and I've been arrested here in Leon County. So Jefferson County sent me to prison, but I've been arrested in Leon County. So something should come up. Like, you got my license, you got my ID. I ain't have no license. You got my ID. You got I got the license number on it anyway. But you got my social. I don't understand, like, what it might have been a glitch, but whatever it was, you know what I'm saying? He got super belligerent, like, but I'm belligerent now because I'm saying, so what are you implying, that I got to be in your system?
And see, that's it right there.
I ain't got to be in your system, but I should be in your system, is what I told you, because I've been to prison twice. So if it's not coming up, that ain't got nothing to do, like I'm lying. Oh, if I come back, if I go check it again, and then nothing come up, I'm like, really? Like, really? Now I'm kind of agitated. My wife couldn't go. She a little agitated. What is he think I'm giving him a fake ID? Because they ain't let me get out the car or nothing. I'm like, because I'm trying to get out. I ain't driving. Y'all don't stop me. I'm like, get it. Oh, would you run? I guess that he might have thought I was trying to jump out. But I'm like, I ain't driving. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. It's all good.
But all of that goes back to what you said. All of that makes people not trust the police. All of that makes people leery of them when they pull over. So we're gonna move on to this story about that happened back in February. And it was the one where the uncle of the bride fatally shot by police at Florida wedding. Happened to be where you are, down in Florida, authorities say. Now, I have watched, I'm just not seeing this, and it was a month ago when this happened. But from what I gather, there was a call that was made, and apparently, I guess he fit the description of the assailant that they were looking for. And so then there goes the thing of, we all look alike. We all look alike. No, we don't all look alike, because we come in all different shades. All different shades. We don't all look alike. But according to him, he met the description of the assailant. But did they say the assailant was at the wedding? Is that what they said? Come to find out, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't even him. And the family has said in the video that was on Facebook, where I saw this, in the video that went across, the family is saying how they covered up for these police officers. They've not been charged. They blamed it all on him. The people were at the wedding trying to tell them before they even tried to come, approach him, that it wasn't him. It's the wrong person. They wouldn't listen. They were telling people to be quiet. Then after they shot and killed him, they wouldn't let him. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of stuff. And it's like, so the people at the wedding reception are going to lie about the fact that this man wasn't the person that you were looking for, and his mother was being helped. They talking about, well, the mother called because he was attacking her. The mother said that's a lie. I was having trouble being able to sit down in the seat. He came behind me to help me sit down in the seat because I was having issues with trying to sit down. And I'm like, so y'all ain't believe nothing they said. And you have nothing to say other than, well, he was resisting and da-da-da-da this and da-da-da-da that. But y'all open up a full, you unloaded all your stuff in him. You just unloaded like it was nothing. And I really think that you all thought the family was going to let it go, and they aren't letting it go. They literally are not letting it go. They've got an attorney. They're not going to let it go. And I think that's what's bothering whatever part of Florida this happening. That's what's bothering them. The police is that, oh, they're not going to let this go. No, because you know what? Black people tired of you just murdering us just because you can.
Yeah.
We tired of you not hearing us when you come to a situation, but you just shooting us just because you can.
With a taser on your side. That's what be throwing me off.
And I was just going to say, and you got tasers. No matter how big he was, however many it was of y'all had enough tasers to at least take him down.
Take him down.
But y'all didn't choose to do that. The first thing that you do with us is you just go to shoot. Now, Dylann Roof, y'all took and fed him after he went into the church basement and slaughtered some people. Y'all took and got him something to eat because he was hungry.
Yeah. No, they're gonna get mad about that. Oh, hey, y'all stay bringing up Dylann Roof, because it's the treatment that they give, that they do give, okay. Let me say it like this: non-trailer park, because trailer park is looked at the ghetto too. Non-trailer, well, sometimes they even get the treatment. They even get the good treatment just cause. But if they look at them as what they call them, y'all listen to me now. I think they call white people mud niggas or whatever. But if they look at them like that, then yeah, a trailer trash. Then yeah, then they'll treat them like black people. But anybody else, they are fair skinned, then they try to treat them. And with the number on record, police should come in understanding that I don't want to be that guy. I'm gonna do my job, but I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. And I can bring up another old one. Remember the 15-year-old girl, was stabbing the people. Now,
yeah.
He had a split decision, but he could have tased her. I don't know, maybe because the taser supposed to make, but he made the decision to, the shoot the way he did, And my thing is, maybe shoot to immobilize, not shoot to kill. And then a split second, you know what I'm saying? And you can always say, well, they had a split second to think about the life of the other person. But it's just so many incidents out there. Well, you ask the question, well, could the outcome been avoided? And then you seek to say, why wasn't it? And then let that be training for every other officer that come forth. Like, if at all costs, let's seek to de-escalate. If there was more than one officer, at least have one officer pull out, the taser. Go in the trunk, get the shotgun with the beanbags. I say, load up 2 beanbag rounds, and then need be let the third round be whatever it be. But you know what I'm saying? And I know it sounds easy talking about it when you're not in the heat of the moment, but that's what the officer is supposed to be trained for, so that they do have composure in the heat of the moment. You know what I'm saying? Civilians don't have that training, but that's what the officers to get training for. So in the heat of the moment, they're not thinking, or they can think in the heat of the moment. That's what they're supposed to be trained for. And that's all people be asking, why they can't have specialized training. Mental health situations. You got the call. You said, the call is a mental health call. So, and yes, a mental health person could be a danger to themselves and somebody else. Automatically, I'm coming with beanbags. Automatically, I'm coming with tasers, and maybe, I'm looking to immobilize. Yeah, they might be a danger because they're having a mental health episode. Why am I going to try and kill them for having a mental health? Yeah, they threaten somebody with a knife, a screwdriver, whatever. But y'all don't do everybody like that. So, as being an officer, you're supposed to be able to think in the heat of the moment. Is everybody the same? Nope. But at the end of the day, look at this wedding situation. People were telling y'all he not the one. Why did y'all key on him when everybody here telling, maybe because he's the aggressor? And that's the thing I'm talking about. He's acting more aggressive. He's acting more aggressive than anybody. So he got to be the threat. But people telling you he's not the threat. Yes, he's aggressive. Yes, he's something going on because, who maybe his bias coming out now. The police come here, he don't like the police, but y'all end up killing him. And people told y'all he was the aggressor. So the point of what I'm saying is, most police come with a taser. Everybody automatically grab the gun. Like it should be, when we come on the scene, it should be like, okay, one of y'all gonna have a taser. We're gonna deploy a taser first. After they don't answer to the first or second command, go ahead and tase them. You know what I'm saying? Go boom, go look, because our mission is to bring them in and bring them in safely. You know, so they have their day in court. The argument is they're not getting their day in court. The narrative like to be said, oh, y'all just don't want them to go to jail. Partially true. Well, I'm gonna say true, but we definitely don't want them dead. We want let them have their day in court. We don't want them dead. Do we want our loved ones to get arrested? Of course not. But when you kill them, and then y'all be having the nerve to still put them in handcuffs. They ain't moving or nothing. Y'all ain't
I don't understand that.
No CPR. Y'all ain't doing that.
Right. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. They dead already. Why are you handcuffed? What they gonna do? What they gonna do? They're gonna automatically just get up and just start. I don't understand. They're dead. There's no life there. What is the purpose of you handcuffing them? Now, I did continue to read further on to read the article a little bit, or I like glanced through it, and the article did say that there was a call and somebody said that he was the man going around and he was assaulting people. The family said that's not true. They said the only thing was he hadn't been able to come out in a long while. Don't know what that means. But he wasn't able to come out, and so now he's been able to come out, and he just having a good time and was drinking and was happy. And he did assault the police officer. He assaulted one so much, I guess one punch is what I'm gathering, one hit, and that officer was unconscious. So then the other officer stepped in, and so then he assaulted that officer, and then that second officer just went ahead and shot.
Okay, well, if he took that first officer out, that's probably why the other officer like he ain't finna do it to me. But
my thing is, you did a kill shot. You didn't have to do a kill shot.
That's my thing about the tasers,
right? And he didn't have another weapon other than these, which I would say are probably lethal weapons. I dated somebody where a judge literally told this person, these need to be registered as lethal weapons, because he doesn't really need a gun. He's just dangerous with these alone. With them alone, he's dangerous. And he said, I don't understand why they have not been registered as lethal weapons. He said, because they are. And so, okay, his hands are lethal weapons. He didn't have a gun. So again, my thing was, he didn't, and I'm not condoning him hitting the officers before y'all say I am. I'm not. But what I'm saying is, even in his assault, he didn't even go after the first officer's gun. He literally did a punch and knocked the person out. So that means there was power in his punch. It was that, you know what I'm saying? It was just that strong and powerful to knock the person unconscious. So he didn't have a gun. Right then, even as this is happening, the family had circled around to tell you he wasn't bothering anybody. So now, if I'm the family, not only am I not going to address this, I'm now going to address which one of y'all at this wedding reception called and told a lie. Yeah. Because I'm going to address that too.
Yeah, gotta address that.
Right, you gotta address that, because had not it been for you calling and lying, instead of coming to somebody at the wedding and saying something,
whoever it was had a healthy fear of the person. Had to be. They had in order to call the police, they had a healthy fear of the people, because there was a partial video that I seen of the deceased now dancing at the wedding, dancing at the reception. There was a video of him dancing, having a good time, whatever happened, you know what I'm saying. And then when the police come, like I said, there's no, I don't know, they should have had body cameras in this day and age. They should have had body cameras on. I haven't seen any body camera footage or whatever.
I don't think we had. I don't need. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I read an article up here where JC doesn't have them.
Okay, well, they don't have them.
And I'm looking at, we the capital. Why y'all don't have cameras? We the capital.
Someone said it ain't in the budget.
If don't nobody, I don't care. If don't nobody else in the state of Missouri have them, you in Jeff City ought to have. We ought to have everything that everybody should have. It should already be here first. Why? Because we're the capital. You're supposed to be the example. Y'all not. because you
Yeah,
don't have body cameras.
and I'm definitely
So
surprised Florida.
you can put in the budget what you want to put in the budget. Because I done seen the budget of some stupid stuff that y'all done put in the budget that just don't make no kind of sense.
Cause they had, like down here we had camera lights, so I mean light, lights for the camera, traffic cameras. So that information has to get stored somewhere. So body cam footage at the way you had traffic lights, cameras, that information has to be stored somewhere. So you can store that information because that's what all be in the budget. But someone loved one is gone, and what we've been trying to talk about these. That's quite sure a lot of y'all already know. These are the biases. These are the things that cause the issues and the bitterness. This cause because I might have already had a bias because guess what? Lil Kiki got killed by the police and we seen him get gunned down. My cousin friend had a situation where they gunned down their loved one. So when they come to the hood, they come to the hood with their biases. So and that create more bias in me. And more prejudice in me. They come into the hood with a prejudice. They come in, so it's like it's a whole it's
a vicious circle.
A vicious circle, and it's a bad mix. That's why it's such it happens every time. And as believers, it's hard talking about it. Well, it's easy to talk about it. Overcoming it when there's a new one every time is the fight. Yeah. Every time you working on it, be like, well, man, okay.
Now this happened. What I do with this now?
I'm back at square one now because I was on my way thinking about working about it, but now it seemed like I ain't gonna never be able to get over this because every time it look like I'm trying to get better, or maybe working my way to better, or want to get on the road to trying to be better and not be so toward them, then boom, another incident happened, and now I'm all the way back on squat one. I hate cops. I don't like the police. Because boom, you know what I'm saying? But then you have a story like, yeah, the police did CPR on the baby and the baby lived. Police had a situation where the officer actually really showed restraint in a situation. You know what I'm saying? Or they didn't use deadly force. They used force. They didn't use deadly force because I was telling you about the one in Columbus. I need to find something for that one. The one in Columbus, and the dude was shooting back at the police. Now they shot at him, but they wasn't shooting with deadly force, and that's the thing, And he shot at him now, so technically,
they should have been able to. Deadly force would have been an action, but they chose not.
They chose not deadly force. And they showed restraint. And
see, right there lets me know you can show restraint. Yeah. It depends on who you are. Yeah. It depends on who you are. You can show restraint.
Yeah, because he turned around and he fired about 4 shots at him, and they was all in the driver's side of the police car, and the police did get injured. Now they shot him. It was after he had stopped and actually turned around, but he still had the gun in his hand. He didn't drop the gun, but he had put his hands up, then he put his hand down to the side, so he wasn't raising it up at them. But the fact that he had shot at them, now they did shoot him, but they didn't shoot him with deadly force. When they technically, he would have been he would have been at the right police force. They would have lit him up. He would have died on the highway. Like lit him up because if you watch the video, they were shooting at him, but they I don't think they were trying to get him, because I'm gonna say some of them. Oh, you just try to call. We finna get you. We finna get you. If you die, you die. If you live, you live. But we finna get you. We finna take you down. I'm gonna say it like that. We finna take you down. If you live, you live. If you die, you die. But we finna take you down because you're not finna injure another officer. I understand that mindset because we don't want nobody else to get hurt. But then you can do it in a way that show restraint. And I know. Yeah. Because if your life was on the line, you'll take them out. Yeah, probably would. But as an officer protecting my family, yeah, I have the same mindset. If I'm protecting my family, yeah, the threat got to go. So I understand in the heat of the moment when, boom, boom, boom. But we don't have that training. Officers are supposed to have the training for the heat of the moment, for conflict resolution. That's what they're supposed to have training for, and that's all. That's all we be saying. It's understandable that in some situations, yeah, hey man, if it's between me, I'm going home and you going home, and you trying to not let me go home, pretty much you're going down, bro. Don't raise the weapon at me, because like the Bible say. Bible said they better not the sword in vain. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that dude in Columbus, there's been some other incidences where
I just saw a little clip of that. I'm like, ooh, you were asking for them to do deadly force. I said, but they did show a lot of restraint. I mean, a lot. So there are officers that we know that are good, that will do what they can to preserve life. But you know, there are bad ones in there.
Yeah,
there are bad ones in there.
And this the thing, like, for me, because it's this thing so narrow. Like, we can do hour-long videos, or multiple hour-long videos, as this one already is, or we can do multiple hour-long videos, because when you look at also the ratio of black cops who kill people and actually go to prison versus, we got, the George Floyd situation, but it's been other situations where, because to me, all you gotta do is charge the officer with manslaughter. When you try and put trying to prove racial intent, if you really want to get the officer to get convicted and just to stop, just straight up charge him with manslaughter. Manslaughter, you kill and you didn't mean to. Did you kill him? Yeah. Did you mean to? No. Okay, guilty. Now, if the jury come back, but when they try and make it first degree, premeditated, all that junk, second degree, third degree, like they're with intent, like a racial intent, you can't always prove that. But did you kill him and you didn't mean to?
Right. You can't always prove it. And I think, like you said, with the George Floyd, and what was the other young man's name, Deontay or something like that, with the officer that said she thought it was her taser or whatever. Those are, to me, I find as exceptions, because it was so much out there. It was so out there, and the videos were so clearly obvious that you could, especially with George, what else could you do? That was camera tape. And that 17-year-old young lady, I pray for her, that God will release her and her 9-year-old cousin, those images out of their mind. Her video account of that thing is what just, it sealed it. It sealed it, because it gave and everybody else's angles that they were coming up and putting on it. It showed that your intent was to kill him. You had done this before. It had never gotten caught, but you had done this before. But the difference was, this time you got caught. This was the time for it to be known that this is what y'all do. This is what y'all do. And I know that they have, like you said, the Blues Club, or the boys, however you want to say, the Boys and Blues Club. Well, look at what happens when somebody goes against that club.
Yeah.
You get the young man here in Louisiana who says firing is retaliation for speaking out on black man's death after arrest.
That's what happened. You can't go against the code, but they're gonna find something to get, to retaliate. And I'll be doing I file a lawsuit, because
he has, and that's what he's doing, filing a lawsuit. He's doing all the avenues he can. And somebody asked him, well, why would you want your job back now? Because they're not gonna watch out for you. They're not gonna look at, they may try to find ways to set you up. And he said, but somebody has to be there. Somebody has to stand up. He said, and maybe if I stand up, other people will too. And the thing about it was, other officers who were afraid to go against the code have said he did the right thing. They were just afraid to do that. And I look at, even when I look at even Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be the one that's willing to take that collateral damage.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be, and he was that one. And I just pray the same. Although it took a while for Colin and the other young man that was with him to fight to get what they got. Oh, they got a pretty penny from the NFL. Oh, yeah, they did. And I know that's why it's not been disclosed. Him and that young man, they got a pretty hefty penny out of them for what they did in blackballing them. Yeah, they did. They got a lot. They're not ever allowed to say, but I guarantee you they got a lot that they're set for life, because all of them owners knew that was wrong. And y'all thought it was just gonna go away. Y'all thought that both of them would just go away. But the thing of it is, their careers were over because of the stance that they took.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that. I pray that it's not the same. But if it is the same, I pray that what he gets out of that, and I mean this monetarily wise, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I pray that he gets more than what he could have ever imagined. I really do.
Now, I don't think this gonna really go nowhere, because even down to the root cause, I'm gonna say stuff like right now, with social media, TikTok, all that there, there's video, there's picture evidence that maybe even some historical evidence that that the police was started to catch slaves. And so there's already more bias toward them already. And sometimes a lot of people are doing something wrong. They're doing something wrong. And I have to always keep just throwing out there, we're not saying that people should have their day in court. That's not what we're saying. We're saying they're not getting their day in court. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather go to the jailhouse than go to the graveyard to visit my loved one.
Yeah.
Some situations can't be avoided, but a lot of them could. A lot of them could. A lot of them just excessive force. But then people start to say, well, y'all don't know the pressure that the police be under. Okay, now let me throw something else out there, since mental health is a big thing right now. Y'all don't think the Black communities have PTSD? Like, not only from their own communities, but from the police too. So they got a double dose, because it's coming from all angles. So, seeing loved ones get killed. Y'all say in the military that caused PTSD. Look how many, not only is people getting killed on this side by the hood and the gangs, but then you got the police killing people in the communities. You don't think they're traumatized? And that's adding to the bias or the disdain for the police, because calling you could mean somebody end up getting killed, because you're gonna come, instead of being the protected and serve civil servant, you're coming with a bias. Yeah, I go them niggas again. They acting up again in the hood again. Oh, the hood is on fire again. Not saying that's what the verbiage that you use, but the mentality you come with. That's what we say, that's what we call it. Oh yeah, they gonna come like, oh, they gotta come to the block again. They gotta come to the hood again. Oh yeah, they saying them niggas acting up again. So the response time be like, oh yeah, let them kill each other almost. There have been recordings of police saying stuff like this, and we know that this is the sentiment is shared across a lot of from coast to coast. Let them kill each other. That's less work we got to do. Not saying it's everybody, not everybody, but that's the same thing we saying about us. Not everybody. Like my case, I don't have to be in your system. Yes, I am, but do I have to be in your system? Not technically. I was, but I do. You making it like, oh, I'm Black, I'm in this neighborhood, I got to be. Because it's all kind of people who come up out of rough neighborhoods, never have interaction with police, become police, because of their neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So it's just saying, but we our mission is to find out, how do we cope with this? How do we cope with this? Because we can make videos upon videos upon videos
Yeah.
about the madness. But how do we cope? And prayerfully you made it this far. Prayerfully you made it this far to hear. Well, how do you cope? Because remember I talked about the root of bitterness. And a lot of the situations, if we actually be honest with ourselves, a lot of us are bitter. We salty. We feel in some type of way. That however you want to say it, that's the root of bitterness that is sprung in, and it's hard to uproot it when another incident happening. So how do we begin to how do we begin to cope? How do we begin to cope? Interesting enough, like I say, Sonya is leading a class, and we're studying about the battlefield of the mind. This is a big battle. This is a huge battle because articles. I was just reading the article, sharing an article where a black dude was approached in the store. Now the reporting said it was a white dude in a green jacket. The police walk up to a black dude in a brown jacket. Ask the perp. The reporting said it was a white dude in a green jacket. When they get to the store, they walk up to a black dude in a brown jacket. That makes it hard to cope. That makes it hard to cope. And we trying, and especially as Christian believers, we try not to think no evil. But man, when we see some of these stories, it'll be like, boom. Now, if I need the police, will I call them? Yeah, especially right now. I'm at an age now where, you know, that's what I'm trying to do now. I like, how do you like the police? Because when I call them, hopefully we didn't explain the situation. Hopefully we're going to try and get the situation settled peacefully. And the reason why I'm calling, because if you fight some of these young boys now, these young boys coming to shoot you. They ain't even trying to fight no more. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and respectively, I'm going to let the police handle that. Call me what you wanna. Call me soft. It's just like, if we can fight another day, we can fight another day. But if I fight you and beat you up, you coming to shoot me. So guess what? I'm gonna go ahead and let the police handle it. Go ahead and let the police handle it. But I wanna do what Ephesians say. Ephesians says, not Ephesians. Ephesians is one of the verses. Hebrews 11 says this. It say, follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 14 through 16. You know, looking diligently, lest any man fall of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up in you trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. And guess what? That's what's happening right now. A lot of people are defiled because the root of bitterness has sprung up. We do have to find a workaround to the point where we don't see the police as the enemy. What I tell people, based on Romans 13, I say, well, the office of a police officer, you can say the authority, stop in the name of the law, is ordained of God. But the people in the uniforms, you can say a judge, a prosecutor is ordained. But the people in the offices, just like a pastor, the preacher, y'all know what preachers be doing, you know what I'm saying? But the office is ordained of God. But the person in the office is a totally different thing. They don't have to necessarily obey God. And the same thing to say about the police. Would the world be better off with police? But of course not. Well, of course not. You need somebody there to have order. But the people in the uniforms need to be better screened, need to be better watched. Because you have police that are definitely, quote unquote, we're going to take it out there, Ku Klux Klansmen. We have police officers who are, white supremacy. We have police officers who are, I'm in the uniform because I get to exercise my bias today. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? I get the power trip today. And not just only white ones, you have black ones too. You remember the what it was? Was it Minister Society? No.
Mm-hmm. Was it?
The one with Bernie Mac, when he was the police officer, talking about I hate your black gun, I don't know if that was the funny version or that was the real version, but it is some black cops who are tired of niggas. I'm gonna say it like that. They tired of niggas. They ain't got no problem with black folks or African Americans, but they feel like niggas are the thugs and the trash. and make the rest of the respectable black people look bad. So there are black cops who feel like, man, because of you, they looking at me like you. And I'm nothing like you. I'm respectable. I'm trying to do it the right way. I'm trying to do it, quote unquote, by the book way. But because I share the same skin tone as you, they look at me like you. And you know what I'm saying? So I'm feeling some type of way. But my fellow brothers who are police officers, you got to understand that the system is treating you like that. It's not just because you looked at as a thug. No, you're just being looked at because you're black. And then that's a problem. That's why, yeah, you get overlooked for a position. Yeah, you get overlooked. And see, that's the whole narrative. And they say, well, y'all keep singing the same song or dance. Well, we trying to get over it. That's why we continue to talk about it. That's why we continue to try and get you to see it from our. We know y'all standpoint, and I guess y'all know our standpoint too. But we try to we try and get it to the point where, okay, because guess what? Everybody's not a Christian. Everybody's not trying to be saved. So though we can speak to those who are trying to obey God, there's still a lot of people out there that's not trying to obey God, don't care about trying to obey God because they just don't like the police. You know what they say? Bump 12. They say bump 12. They don't care about no law. You know what I'm saying? Down with the police. You know, defund the police. And when they say defund the police, the police begin to feel like, well, when you need us to come to your community because now somebody breaking in your house, guess what? Don't call us. So how do we overcome all that? How do we cope with all that? Or is it going to continue to get worse because of what it is? You know, the Bible do say in the last day, the love of many gonna wax cold. Is the things that's happening to waxing cold on both sides? I see sister got Romans 13 pulled up, and some people don't like Romans 13, but I say, you know, the law, the office, I feel, yes, you can do research and find out where the police were started from, quote unquote, as slave catchers, so to speak, slave patrol to patrol the slaves. And that's what a lot of people feel like the police do now, still trying to patrol and control the slaves. You know, at the freedom of slaves were freed, then that's when loitering came up because slaves ain't had nothing to do, so they would charge them with loitering, lock them up, and you know, get them on plantations. And then by putting them on plantations, you know, what is 13th Amendment? Now since you lose your rights, now you get back locked up. Now you slaving again. So all this stuff is the reason. And when we talk about all this stuff, don't just say, oh, hey, they go on a rant again and they've been ranting for 2 hours now about why. Look and see. And then by looking and seeing, say, okay, they got reason. They got cause, probable cause, interestingly enough, to have the feelings that they have toward policemen. Because when the police come to my community, that ain't how they act. And that's what when they come to my community, they don't act like that and they're all aggressive. But when they go to their community, why do they act like that in their communities? Well, because they're aggressive. Well, they have a reason to because of the way the police come. And you know what I'm saying? They be aggressive with aggression. So as Christians, though, but then we talking about how to cope. That's what we at, how to cope. But again, everybody's not trying to be a Christian. But how do we Christians cope? Start out with Romans 13, what she had of understanding that yeah, the person in the uniform might be a problem. They might have issues. They might have biases. But respect of the office, is supposed to come in play. I'm going to respect you in the office. I know you as a person might be just, I'm going to say scum of the earth. You might be scum of the earth, but when you in that uniform, I'm going to respect you because you in that uniform. Now, some officers do make it hard to maintain, but as believers, this is where we're supposed to be at. I know a lot of people have a problem with that because of the person that's in the uniform, but that's why we're supposed to keep it as Christians, respecting the office that God ordained. And you see what it says, it starts off saying, every person is to be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God. You know what I'm saying? and it say, and there's no authority except those. Wait, I'm getting cross at it. Authority, for there is no authority except from God, and those which exist are established by God. That's the office. That's like I say, I can say the same thing about a pastor, a preacher, a prophet, apostles. Y'all follow Larry Reed live. Y'all follow some of these shade room church on Instagram. Y'all laugh at the church. Come on now, so you know what I'm talking about. So just because the pastor is in the position, don't mean he's honoring the position. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all know all kind of preachers, pastors, deacons, ushers that don't honor the position. Well, the same thing goes for any other position. And police could be in the uniform, but not honoring the protect and serve, not honoring the civil servant. But we as believers are supposed to respect the office. The office. So when we come up, we're gonna give you your respect. And you know, like my wife say, everybody got a boss. Do it always work out? No, because look, I made a report to their chief, and their chief just blow me off. And it happens. Well, guess what? Everybody got a boss. Everybody got a boss, and you keep making enough complaints, yeah, they might follow you. Yeah, you had your seatbelt on, so they done pulled you. Yeah, you know, that kind of stuff happens too. But we talking about still trying to obey God in a cruel world, or trying to obey God in a dishonest world. And this is where our light shines. Is it going to be easy? Nah, but we always talk about I can do all things through Christ that gives us strength. So it says in verse 2, therefore, whoever resists the authority has opposed the ordinance of God, and they who have opposed will receive condemnation upon themselves. There it is right there. Now, once again, a lot of people like to say, well, this came from the slaves, so we ain't got to follow this. How this ordained of God? Well, it might have was, and it might have started that way, but at the same time, where it at now, they're supposed to be protecting and serving. That's what they're there for. Do other stuff happen? Yes. Verse 3 say, for rulers are not a cause of fear to good behavior, but for evil. We know for a long time that wasn't necessarily the case. That wasn't necessarily the case. They would just harass and just harass and just harass. You know, we know, you know what I'm saying? And first thing somebody say, well, y'all always bringing up the old stuff, because the old stuff is the root to the stuff that is happening now. It's a continuation. That the root hasn't been killed. The root hasn't died. That's why the stuff is still continuing. That's why we keep reminding you that, look, the way we see it is, this is just a continuation of what have always been happening. But you supposed to be a terror to evil works, not just because I'm black. Not approaching me. You're supposed to approach me the same way you would approach the nice white person in the nice neighborhood. But that ain't the way that you approach us. So you already being biased, because you're not coming at us like you would come at them. You're not coming at them like you would come at us. So you're already showing bias, because you're supposed to be a terror to evil. We're not supposed to fear you, but we got to fear because of the way you approach us, whether we doing decent or not. You see black, you boom, you think you automatically evil. You think it's automatically wrong. He say, verse 3 again, for rulers are not a cause of fear for good behavior, but for evil. Do you want to have a fear of authority? Do what is good, and you will have praise of the same. We know that not to be the case. We know that not to be the case, because I could be doing the right thing, but you're going to assume I'm doing the wrong thing because I'm black. This is why people have a problem with this passage of scripture right here. But we're talking about being a Christian and trying to as 1 Corinthians say, love thinking no evil. Try not to think evil. You know, we study in Battlefield of the Mind. And the Bible said we are transformed by the renewing of our mind. Yeah, I've had bad experiences, but I still try to respect the law. Now that I'm really trying to be a believer, like I say, I've had more good interaction with sheriffs, respectable. And listen, even when one arrested me, the interaction was respectable. Now the police, I just don't know about them guys. I just really don't. But I try to live out this passage of scripture here. Verse 4 say, for it is a minister of God to you for good. A lot of people say that's a lie. But remember, we're talking about the office, not the person in the office. We're talking about the office, not the person in the office. As a believer, that's how we got to start looking at it. For it is a minister to you for good, to protect and to serve. Supposed to come to de-escalate, not escalate. Good officers come trying to de-escalate, not escalate. They come trying to protect and serve first. Not, oh, I'm coming to the black community, so I already know. Let me see if I got one in the chamber. No, I'm coming to de-escalate because I know I'm a servant. I'm a civil servant. So I come to protect and serve. But if you do work is evil, be afraid, for it does not bear the sword for nothing. For it is a minister of God, an avenger who brings wrath to the one who practices evil. Like we say, we know the situation in Columbus. Bro was running down the highway, turning around and right at the police, all on the driver's side. He was asking for it. In some situations where, yeah, they bear not the sword in vain. They up that fire. Why you gonna pull your gun up? You know you ain't coming back from that. Why you gonna pull that knife up in charge? You know you ain't finna come back from that. So they bear not the sword in vain. They post and they gonna bring wrath on what's supposed to be evil. But our problem is, but they bringing wrath to sometimes good too. Verse 5 say, therefore it is necessary to be in subjection, not only because of the wrath they might kill you, but also for conscience sake. Because see, we supposed to be, am I clear with God as a believer? For conscience sake. Look, bro, you being belligerent right now, but because you in that uniform, I'm gonna respect the law because I'm honoring God. And see, you outside the uniform, we probably could throw some hands. I'm being funny, but in that uniform, I'm gonna respect you because you're in the uniform, and the uniforms are the name of God. Now it's some who will take, who want to take that badge off because they want to get to you anyway. You know what I'm saying? Who at least think about it. But that's what the community be feeling, bro. The only reason you act like that because you got that badge on. Because if you ain't had that badge on, you would be talking to me that way. You quote unquote, not that you fear me, but you fear what I stand for the streets. So if you didn't have that badge on, you would be talking to me that way. So that makes a level of aggression come up out of most of the black men because, yeah, bro, we ain't our ancestors. Yeah, bro, you ain't gonna talk to me like you gonna respect me like you want me to respect you. That's basically what they be saying. You know what I'm saying? But then because I'm the police officers, it's like, no, boy, you're gonna listen to what I got to say, and that's a problem. So, but once again, as believers in the office, we supposed to be still doing our best to not return railing for railing and evil for evil. Is it easy? Boy, you know it ain't easy. But then on another note, we'll say, I can do all things through Christ that gives us strength. And then when you do mess up, though, the first thing we're supposed to be do as believers, when we come to our senses, calm down, whatever, and get pride out the way, is then admit that I was wrong and try and rectify the situation. And the hardest thing is, well, they was wrong too, but you the one said you was the believer. I the one who said I was the believer. Now, verse 6 go to talk about taxes and all that there, but I ain't even, you know what I'm saying? We ain't there. We stop it at verse 5. Therefore, it's necessary to be in subjection, not only because of wrath, because if you get beside yourself with them, you already know what they're gonna do. That's why your loved one be like, no, baby, calm down. No, Troy, stop, because they know if Troy keep going, the police gonna kill him. So try and be obedient, not only for wrath's sake, but for consciousness sake toward God, because we say we are believers. So toward God, we supposed to say, I'm obeying you because I'm obey God, and God told me to obey the law. You know what I'm saying? And right now you in the uniform, so I'm gonna respect you as the uniform. And that's where we got to get as believers. That's how we got to transform our mind. Yeah, the person in the blue uniform could might well have a whole hood on and burn a cross in your front yard. But when they in that uniform, we ought to be doing our best to respect them in that uniform. Because of we respecting God. And it's not always easy, but we do be asking God, Lord, help me with my anger issue, help me with my problem, help me be better. Okay, then a situation would arise that give you opportunity to exercise that what you asking for. Are you going to take it? Am I going to take it? It's hard. It's hard, but growth, real growth, it call it growing pains. And guess what? I'm quite sure within the week, few weeks, not saying that I wanted to be, but you can guarantee an incident going to rise. The incident going to rise. How do we process it? Because as believers, we can't hold the grudges. We can't continue to carry the bias, and we got to try to find a way to uproot the root of bitterness. But first, we got to admit that we are bitter. And if you start to admit that you are bitter and ask God to deal with, and ask God to help us deal with it, He'll start showing us ways to exercise. And it might be even an incident where you need a cop. A cop comes to your aid. You see a cop, a story about a cop that, you know, wasn't like the other cops who did good, who showed restraint. That is to help us stop with the narrative like they got all them bad. Then our narrative ain't supposed to be like all them bad, because we know all them ain't bad, because some of them got family members who are policemen in the correction office. So we know all of them are not bad. Some of them just want to go home at the end of the day. So those are the kind of thoughts that we are supposed to think that begin to help us. Like I say, get on the road. We ain't trying to get to the destination all the way overnight, but those are the kind of thoughts that are supposed to help us get on the road to overcoming the root of bitterness and coping with the situations, And also, as I end this, my dissertation on my lecture, not overlooking the wrong that our loved one might be doing. Not overlooking the wrong, that giving it an equal, okay, well, they was wrong too. Yeah, they was wrong for killing him, but maybe, yeah, if he wasn't in violation of the law, he would have never been in a situation to do this. Some cases that don't fit, but when it do fit, be equal. Be equal with, yeah, 50-50. The cops was wrong, they was wrong for violating the law, but then the officer was wrong. Make it 50-50. Don't just be like, yeah, they was wrong, but they ain't have to kill him. Now you make it look like it's just the officer's fault. Are there exceptions? Of course. Look, the officer just messed with this person. This person wasn't even doing nothing. Or officer didn't have to take it that far, because, you know, like, take it back to the dude that was New York. I can't breathe. The cigarettes. Really? Y'all went that strong for cigarettes? The dude in Louisiana selling the CDs. Really? I had DVDs in my trunk. That dude didn't even care about the DVD. Y'all went that strong for CDs. That's where we talking about what makes it difficult. When you went that strong, and then look, and then the officers, y'all talking about, if you can talk, you can breathe. Come on, bro. Really? If I'm telling you I can't breathe, why not get off me? I ain't saying stop restraining me, but I'm telling you your chokehold is taking off my wind. I'm telling you your knee is on my neck. And guess what? Last week, I don't know if he was black or white, but I don't think he was black. But somebody else, last week, an officer just, within the last week, because it might have been this week, today is Sunday, an officer just put a knee on somebody's neck and killed them. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up as I close and let you talk. But that's the point. If somebody's saying that they can't breathe, like, the humanity in you should have said, yeah, let me. If they saying they can't breathe, let me ease off. I ain't got to stop restraining them, but let me ease off the chokehold. Let me get my knee off the neck. You know what I'm saying? So, boom, the humanity. But guess what? The humanity of the cop, he thinking, I just want to go home. He might be thinking life or death. But as believers, Romans 13, Hebrews 12:14, try to follow peace with all men, holiness with no man can see the Lord. Verse 15 say, looking diligently, lest any man fall of the grace of God, lest in a root of bitterness spring up and trouble you, and many be defiled. And we know right now the root of bitterness are in a lot of us. And when we look, we spent 2 hours talking about the issues that we could have or do have with cops. So you know that many have been defiled by the root of bitterness that's in all of us. So what I've talked about in the last few minutes is how we cope. You go to Romans 13, you begin to look at the officer like the preacher. The man in the uniform, the man is called to the office, but the man in the office don't necessarily have to obey God. The man in the office a lot of times disobey God and do things that's not of God. But does that does that speak against the office? Naturally, in our minds it do. But God, like, no, because my office is supposed to be holy, because back in the days, if he wasn't right and he stepped into the pulpit, he would fall dead, the most holiest of holies. So they had to have a string on him. You know what I'm saying? Maybe God need to go back to that. And then maybe we'll tighten up a little more. But I'm saying it to say that the office is ordained of God, but the people in their uniform is not don't always do what they say. The same thing go for the police. The office, yeah, we can talk about the slave thing, but the office still is ordained of God, and they the authority right now. We supposed to respect authority, not only for wrath's sake, but then why does he say for consciousness sake in Romans 13? Because our conscience is supposed to be willing to obey God. And as believers, that's what we have to get. So I know I didn't roll it out a little bit, but I'm gonna look that story up and I'm done. I'm done. Amen.
Well, actually, he ended it because that's where we wanted to end it, was with him talking about how we cope, and he has done just that. We trust and pray that we have said something to cause you to take a second look, to think again. All of us, not just you, but all of us, to take a second look and to know that we can we can cope. And one way of coping, and I never thought about it, is reading Romans 13 and realizing that it is talking about the office and not the individual that is in the uniform, or the individual that is in that office, but it is talking about the office. That's the same as the president. I've heard a friend of mine say, I respect the office that they are in. Therefore, I pray for him because he's in that office. That doesn't mean they respect what they're doing or their character or their actions, but they respect the office that they hold. And I think that was very good for Demetrius to break that down like that, that we need to respect the office. And the office is the police officer. It's the authority. That's the office. The individual is separate than the office. But a lot of times we make the individual and the office the same person, and God does not. There's an office, and then there's the individual that's in the office. And so we thank you all for joining us. Those of you that happen along it and watch it, we pray that it will, minister to you, that you will take a look at some of your own issues and your tendencies and your biases and your prejudices and your believe it or not, we all got prejudices. We all do. And believe it or not, some of us are racist, whether we black or white, purple, green, yellow, blue, or orange. We're all, we all got tendencies of racism. I'm sorry. We all do. And we are all a work in progress. And so we're just saying, we can no longer avoid the conversation. We can no longer act like we're not living in this world, that we just gonna pray. Yeah, well, you need to talk about something before you explode. And not only that, if you happen along this and leave a comment, I'll share it with my brother, and maybe we'll come back and address some of the comments that people leave. But what I really want people to, us to think about, especially those of us that are Christian, why is it that we have to do either or? That's the question that ponders me. Why is it as Christians that we have to do either or? We either have to be saved and do nothing that's social in the social content at all, or if we do the social content, we can't be saved. I don't understand that. I've never understood that. I'm not sure that I ever will understand that. And the reason why I say that is because our ancestors before us, they were Christians and they protest. They marched. For me to have the right to go to any school that I want, for my son to have a right to go to any school he wants, for me to vote, for you to vote, for my son to vote. Bloody Sunday was not a bunch of people that were not they were not Christians. Now, there may have been some people that may not have been Christians that were in there, but you're not going to get me to believe that Bloody Sunday, when they walked across that bridge in Selma, that there weren't Christians in a bunch.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
So why is it that here we are in whichever century, in 21st, 20, I don't know. I can't keep up with that. But wherever we are in 2022, why is it that you're telling me that I either got to be saved and I can't do the social activism, or if I do the social activism, I can't be saved? Why? Because if that's the case, then our ancestors should have never seen. Then our ancestors, should have never shedded any blood that they shed for us. And I'm talking about all the way back to even when they were in slavery, trying to get free, fighting in the wars that they fought in. Never should have shedded any blood. If we can't be Christians and still support causes or protest, nonviolent protest, or walk in marches, if we're Christians, all we're supposed to do is just pray about it. And just wait on God. Just pray and wait. But you got to do something in the time that you're waiting. You got to act. What if all they had done in the 60s, the 50s and the 60s were just pray and wait on God? We wouldn't have the things that we have now. What if, because Rosa wasn't the first person that didn't give up their seat. It was a young teenage, I think, mother. But because she wasn't the right one, they couldn't use her. We ain't gonna talk about that because I felt some kind of way about that, but I got what they were saying, about that time period. But when Rosa didn't give up her seat, what would have happened if she had just gave up her seat? There never would have been the over year-long bus strike that caused people to realize I'd rather walk than to sit in the back of the bus anymore. I'd rather walk than to have to give up my seat for anybody else. Rosa was a Christian. She went to church. Her and her husband. They were Christian people that went to church. So when you tell me, or I hear people say, you can't do that because you're a minister, you're a prophet, or whatever you are, or you're a Christian, you can't do that. You can only just pray. I'm sorry. There are too many people before me that have done that. I don't understand that logic of thinking. That is either or. I don't understand that. And so that's my final question. We're not saying anything else, but that's a question that whoever comes along and you stay all the way to the end, the 2 hours, my question to you is, why is it that as a Christian, it has to be either or? I either have to be a Christian and I cannot march, protest, or any of that. Or if I protest any of that, I cannot be a Christian. I've lost my I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't get it out. I've lost me being an example, but that's not what I'm looking for, but that's what I'm going to say because I can't think of the other word. I've lost it because I've chosen to march and protest. And I'm going to tell you something. When I lived in St. Louis, I marched. I sure did. When we did Martin Luther King, yes, I did. I walked in the march. And guess what? I'm still saved.
Amen.
I'm still saved. Just because I marched in some of the marches doesn't mean I wasn't saved. I'm still saved. And there were other Christians that were in the march. So again, my question is, why does it have to be either or? And I don't want to hear anybody talking about Black Lives Matter, because we're not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that at all. I'm dealing with those people that truly do the marches of the NAACP. Because I will say this, we can march on Washington at the end of this weekend to stop abortion, and that's fine. We can protest and do all of that, and you still a Christian. But when it comes to marching for civil rights and things like that, and equality and justice, I'm not a Christian. I'm not saved if I'm a part of that. I don't understand that. And I need somebody to explain that to me. How is that appropriate? How is that appropriate? I'm just saying, how is that appropriate? Because when you look back down our history, you wouldn't have the right to vote. You wouldn't have the right to sit anywhere you want to sit. You wouldn't have the right to go to any school that you want to go to. There are a lot of things that we have because of what they did, we wouldn't have if they weren't able to do that. If they had said, I'm a Christian, I can't do that. I'm just saying. When you really sit back and think about it, to me, it doesn't make logical sense. It just doesn't. Because people before me, they did it. And that's why I have what I have.
Amen.
That's why I have what I have.
Yeah.
That's why I have what I have. Think about it. Go back down through your history. I know Black History Month was last month, but to me, Black History is every single day. It ain't one month. It's every day.
Every day.
It's every day.
Every day.
It's every single day. Go back. Think about some of your stuff. Look at the Tuskegee Airmen. Watch the movie. I don't care what version you watch. Watch it. I've got and the truth is, I have all 3 versions that have come out.
Oh yeah.
Yep, I have all 3 of them. That was one of my goals, was to make sure that we had those movies in our house. Okay. I believe I have all 3 of them. I have Red Tails, and I have one that is PBS, I think, that talked about the Tuskegee. I have all, whatever it was, I have them all. Okay. And I will watch them all. And the one at the very end, and I think it's the one that has Lawrence Alan Payne and Lawrence Fishburne in it, and Malcolm Jamal Warner, I think, is in it. At the very end, when it goes off, it lets you know those people didn't lose not one bomber when the Tuskegee Airmen were protecting them with those bombers. They didn't lose a one.
Yep.
They didn't lose not a bomb. And I think their casualties for the Tuskegee Airmen was very low. But my point is, what if it hadn't have been for them? We wouldn't have pilots flying today in the military. Why? Because they did something that people said couldn't be done.
Yep.
And I believe some of them were Christians. So what I'm saying is, you can't keep telling me that being a Christian, I can't do none of this other stuff because I'm a witness. Thank you, Holy Ghost. Because I'm going to lose my witness. I disagree. I disagree with that. Because if I can't do that and still be a witness and still talk about God, then there's something wrong with me. And my walk with God. Not that I can't do that. Because too many other people did.
Mm.
And some of them still do. So that's all I got to say. That's my question to you. Why does it have to be an either or situation when it comes to Christianity and civil rights? I don't understand that. Now, if y'all can help me, if you can explain it to me, if you got a scripture in the Bible that's gonna back that up, please let me know. So I can go and read it, research it, and get with my brother and say, hey, this is the scripture guy. Bro, what you think?
Hmm.
Because again, Martin's mother and father had no idea what he was going to do. Malcolm's parents had no idea what he would become after he turned his life around. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You don't know who you carry. As a parent, you don't know who you're carrying. As parents, you don't know what you have made and what God is going to give you to come to this earth to do what needs to be done. Medgar Evers' parents didn't know what he was going to be, who he was, what he was going to do. He was a Christian too. I'm just saying, I don't know why I'm going here, but it's time that we start thinking about some things, that we put limits on people that are Christians of what they cannot do when it comes to civil rights. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. All right. We hope that y'all have enjoyed our speeches that we've given at the very end. We hope that you have enjoyed this and that you will truly, honestly, take the time. Think about it. Seriously think about it. And I'm ending it on this song because yes, I do listen to this song every now and then when it comes across my mind, and I'm still saying, but it is a true song by Marvin Gaye, and it's the truth. What is going on?
What's going on?
I think I turned the volume down. I did, didn't I? Yep. Hold on, y'all. It is not working. Hold on. I want to play a little bit of this before it goes off, because I think a lot of times we don't think about what's going on. We just think everything is okie dory and it's all good, and it's gonna be all right. Yeah, it is gonna be all right, but we got work to do. You don't want to play now? What is going on? What is going on? What's going on?
What's going on?
What literally is going on? Why are we having to go through these things? Yeah, my volume is like straight up gone. What happened to the volume on here? Oh.